for the olive boys down in the house of corrections, as they try for love and any form of ascension. Am I on the right train, headed in the wrong direction? What say you, Lord? What say you, Lord?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my latest review of Breaking Bad. Spoiler alert as we go forward, because I will bear all in this review regarding the episode. And yeah, I'm pretty much gonna skip right to discussing some certain events that occurred within the final 10 minutes of the episode, okay? And first of all, let me just say that I was curious as to what the episode title meant, and I still do not know how to pronounce it. But apparently, this phrase means bringing up water from a natural well. So there's some lovely little symbolism in there for you in the midst of a lot of chaos. Just wow, each episode continues to build upon itself and to stir up new emotions that I did not even know I was capable of experiencing. And here I am, I'm going to watch Dexter tonight. And it's like, I highly doubt that things are going to, you know, lead to a total freaking balls crazy shootout between Miami Metro and like Dexter and Deborah and Hannah and all those people. So I don't know how I'm even going to be able to deal with watching that tonight in light of what I have just had thrust upon me by AMC and certain other individuals. Wow. I mean, I was just sitting, like, laying on the floor, trying to figure out how on earth I was going to even discuss this in a coherent way. Like, you remember the scene where Walter busts into the crawl space and he's looking for the money, and Skylar gave it all to little Teddy Roosevelt, and he's just rolling around in there on the floor just laughing maniacally. That was kind of me very shortly ago. I think that I'm somewhat recovered from that state, but I can't promise that I'm going to be able to say what all needs to be said, but what at the same time, what can you say about this madness? I just loved how the ending of this episode was played so straight. And that was what freaked me out the most, is that it felt like, you know, that classic crime drama where they've got the guy, what else are you gonna go do? You know, go take the brains out of your garbage. Like, you know, clean up a little bit around the house, have a nice coffee, things that you can do when you're done hunting down your meth lord brother-in-law and you can finally take a load off. But, and so I seriously think that I discovered through watching this episode that I think I'm part mermaid, because I was pretty much holding my breath for like 10 minutes straight. So I mean, I could probably swim down a pretty far ways into the sea. And maybe that's what I'll do when Dexter and Breaking Bad are over and I'm, you know, facing my mid-life crisis, if in fact I'm going to die at the age of 40. If, you know, I suddenly fail to know what my purpose in life is, I'll just remember that because of Breaking Bad and holding my breath at the end of each episode, I know that I am part mermaid and I will find Atlantis and I will go resurrect Dexter and Breaking Bad and it'll all be good. Anyways, I'm sorry to ramble. Let's actually talk about what happened. But yeah, so it just felt, you know, it was just so smooth and I was just clinging to every movement. And every time the camera cuts to Jesse's face, you just feel like he's gonna go like freaking flying squirrel monkey, whatever those things are called. Flying squirrels? I don't know where the squirrel monkey thing came from, but I just felt like he was just going to pounce forward, and in a sense he did. You know, I love the scene leading up to the end game of this episode, where Walter is trapped on the phone with his ex-lover, And basically Jesse gets what's really cool about the narrative of this part of the episode is that this is an opportunity for us to look back through the entirety of Walter and Jesse's relationship, at least as Jesse now perceives it, and you know, before they like both potentially die. Well, except for the fact that we know Walter is not gonna be kicking the bucket quite yet. Although his triumphant white supremacist neo-Nazi buddies aren't really doing a good job of keeping him alive, per se. They're trigger happy as well as target, well, deprived, because I don't understand how no one was dead by the end of the episode. And of course they wanted to do that, so what kind of a cliffhanger is that? You can't do that to me. I don't know how. I'm gonna go living my normal life, right? I am turning into a prepubescent boy. Yeah, prepubescent boy, mermaid. I don't know what I am right now. Breaking Bad, thank you for that. I am experiencing an identity crisis. Yeah, but I just have so many questions and thoughts and things that I've learned from this episode. But yeah, that whole phone call was just balls nuts, and I kept asking myself, how has Walter White not yet died in a traffic accident? Or is he like, you know, kind of part kitty cat, and he's just whittling down his lives one by one, and we just don't notice, because they're all having silent heart attacks, and then the other life just kind of steps in and takes the wheel, and is just blowing and going. But I don't understand. In the same way, I don't understand how Dexter has not yet died of malaria, being that every day as part of his morning routine, he gets bitten by a mosquito. Every day. I mean, it's like, yes, it may be America and all that, but like, it's gonna add up eventually. Like, you're giving yourself a lot of chances to die. So, just things that I wonder to myself. I just predict that he'll just die in an accident, being on the phone and pissed as always. But, yeah, you know, maybe however he weasels his way out of this madness, he should go into like NASCAR racing. That'll give him his rush, you know, he can make some cash, send it to the familia if in fact they do still want anything to do with him. But knowing Walter White, he could pretty much make anyone want to have something to do with him, unless you're Jesse Pinkman, and well, you know, it's one of those volatile relationships of tainted love. But yeah, so that was just crazy intense. This episode it just moved so aggressively and so perfectly, and Bryan Cranston has never been more brilliant. We see the side, like, its volatility and vulnerability just clashing at every angle. And we see him, you know, as he's romping around in the desert, realizing that he's kind of sort of been bamboozled and screwed into turning himself in. You know, we see him as he's at the very beginning, of course, you know, he's chatting with the Whitey McTidy boys about what's to be done about that Jesse Pinkman character. And he's very hostile to the idea of ending Jesse and what they've had. And even at the very end when they're on the phone, you know, he's just like, and it's all about him listening to reason. You need to believe me. I need you on my side. And just all of the honesty and the intensity, and then just seeing him like when he's finally like behind that rock and he knows exactly who is there and exactly how non-existent his options have officially become. There's no room for telling the lie about how the gasoline got spilled all over the house and every other happy little fib he is glad to create and build upon and build upon. And just the look on his face it reminded me of the end of the episode, the Fly episode, actually, where he was like, you know, if I could just like die then and not lived a moment more. It was kind of that, like he almost looked like he was trying to just will himself to just ascend into the heavens right then and there. And it's just crazy how indignant Walter has remained to the idea of killing his brother-in-law in order to stay out, and even with Jesse as well. And I mean, I think for him, that's the only reason why he can justify the fact that he's alive and he feels like he deserves to be alive, you know, is the fact that he has like this sort of standards that he adheres to that other, you know, mega kingpin drug lords might not happen to possess, and that was what keeps him feeling roasty toasty at night. But that's just something that's been so fascinating to me about the character of Walter, and I love that he's been so consistent in that way, and yet there's still this element of him to him that is so volatile and so out of control and just ready to react to any chemical that's thrown at him, you know. It's been an amazing journey, to be sure. And you know, if I could sum up some of the life lessons that I have taken away from this episode, it's number one, apparently it's nice to have some neo-Nazi buddies, you know, just in case you want them to come save your life, and then you tell them no, they're gonna come anyway. But you know, the question is whether or not you're actually gonna come out alive of the, you know, the process of them trying to keep you alive. Exactly. I mean, I guess, you know, they do want Walter to cook for them, and the whole scene at the beginning with the, you know, the crisis of the crystal blue no more, and how they're all trying to, you know, look at this translucent, nasty, just gluey mass sitting there, and they're like, yeah, you know, in the right light, it's kind of, it's aquamarine. You know, it's just totally like dudes trying to figure out colors, you know. It was just so classic, and Lydia's sitting there like, I am about to slit several throats in 3, 2, 1. And Todd has a rather creepy fetish about her. He just has a weird way of approaching women, okay? The whole, like, the way he just kind of gets in her face after he brings her the tea and whatnot. He's talking about the color. It looks like he's trying to, like, you know, please his teacher or something. It's like, was he like that little kid who tried to like legitimately have like romances with his teachers? Is it kind of like the whole Bates Motel thing with like Norman Bates and Miss Watts? And like, is it this whole like just the weird skull? I don't know. I don't know. It felt like role play or something. It was just strange. And then as she's, you know, she's clickety-clacking on her heels on out of there, and he like is, you know, touching the lipstick left on the rim of the glass and starts drinking from that exact same spot. It's just like, is that cute or just downright no? That's a complete aside. Who knows where that relationship will go, or what's to become of Todd, or if he's even gonna be alive. Anyone in the world. Yeah, but going back to the issue about the crystal blue, you know, I've been asking myself, like, is Walter going to cook again before the show is out? And it's really hard to say now, but I'm so excited in a sense that we're finally working our way to the ultimate endgame. We're gonna see, you know, what has taken us from point A to point B. We see Walter at the beginning of the season in this sort of, you know, like post-apocalyptic dystopian future where his house is like half burned up and has been tagged, and people are like, you know, skateboarding in a swimming pool. And I'm just anxious to see what the context of all of that is gonna be. And part of me wonders if who do you anticipate is actually going to die from this exciting exchange that we have at the end? I feel like Hank could possibly die, Because I'm just trying to think of the circumstances under which, you know, if Walter does manage to get taken in after this, like, how would he escape? Or is he not even going to get to that point? Is he gonna, you know, technically still in some sense be free? And the only way I could really imagine that happening is if Hank is out of the picture. But I don't exactly know. I mean, Hank and his partner are pretty ridiculously outnumbered, but at the same time, I was amazed at just how long the gunfire kept up. Like, at one part, I thought that, was it, I should know his name. I really should. Is it Martinez? It's Hank's partner. Like, I thought that he got shot in the head. Like, I was just anticipating, I was looking for just, like, the, you know, the flying blood, but I wasn't seeing anything, so it was just like, God! Is Jesse gonna make it out alive? I mean, is he gonna be a part of this endgame, or is this right here his, you know? And the unpredictability, of course, is exactly what they want, and precisely what they desire is for none of us to sleep for the entire week, such that by the end of the season, we will be so sleep deprived that as the show goes into its grave, we too shall be buried upon it, and it will be this big, romantically tragic funeral of just the greatest show and everyone in the world who loved it all just going in together. You know, it's like I feel like I'm going down with the ship that is the show, because I just can't see the future beyond all of this. It's wild. It's wild. And you know, the setting of everything, the fact that Walter chose to bury his money in the very same place where he had his first cook-off with Jesse, the good times. Oh my goodness, Kat, you don't want to talk about Breaking Bad with me? That is just disappointing. I thought I trained her. You try and you try. They just don't get it. Anyways, and Jesse brings that whole thing up. I saw this video of Walter White and Jesse Pinkman footage put together to We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, whatever the song is by Taylor Swift, you know. So ever since then, the bromantic side of their relationship is something that continues to crack me up in the midst of the bleakness and the insanity of it all. And I love that the episode maintained a really rich sense of humor and just kind of the whole chess game that was going on and the check and mate. It was just astonishing and perfect, and this was, you know, exactly where everything was building towards for me. You know, and people were talking about how the last episodes felt so slow, but it's like Walter's a little too smart for things to move fast, per se. It's phenomenal that things have gone on as long as they have. So I really don't know what to say. Leaving an episode like that, it's just like, who comes out, you know? When we're, you know, what's the head count gonna look like? I can't say, and that's just what they want. And I can't blame some of my friends for wanting to just wait and watch all of the episodes one after another, because this is the stuff that will just send you into cardiac arrest, and it will clog your arteries and your veins, and all natural function will cease as you wonder who all is going to die. Goodness gracious. It's fun to see Walter Jr. encountering Saul Goodman for the first time, and his very buoyant personality remaining throughout. There is, oh, the scene, what's Saul's guy's name? I'm so bad with names. It is quite embarrassing. But the scene, the interrogation scene with him and Hank and all the guys, and the picture of like the brain and the whole like Jesse getting killed thing, I was just like, wow, wow, that is playing dirty. And you know, of course, Marie coming home to find the brain in the garbage and just like, okay, what exactly happened here? That was very comical as well. And just the whole scene of, you know, when Saul Goodman's at the wash with Skylar and Walter Jr. and, you know, Walter comes in and it's like the big awkward family reunion. Those kinds of scenes are always my favorite, where everyone is just in this place of like, oh dear God, here we all are, left to speak in euphemisms, and Walter Jr.'s just like, hey! And I fear for that child just with all my heart, soul, and mind. I quite honestly have no idea what's going to become of Walter's family in this, because in the scenes that we've seen, you know, like the flash forwards, it seems like Walter's going lone wolf. He's out on the prowl on his own, doing his own thing, but who am I to say? Who am I to say? So did you guys like this episode? Are you feeling a little bit emotionally abused like I am? Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. I screamed, I kicked things, I almost just like took a gallon of gasoline, just poured it everywhere and went crazy just because of the sheer ending of it all, and just all the symbolism and all. And of course, you know, we even got to see Brock again, and just the whole him like kind of sort of, you know, turning into Leverage again, and just I love that in this show there's no character that is of like zero importance. I mean, even the freaking secretary in Saul Goodman's office, she's been there the whole time, and I just love the continuity of the show, and it makes it that much harder that it's all coming to an end. And I'm just wowed as always. I loved it. How many episodes left? 3? We also have 3 left with Dexter. Dexter's gonna be ending a week before Breaking Bad, so you know, after Breaking Bad is done, who knows what will become of me. Oh yeah, I'm going to the zombie apocalypse, so taking off to Georgia. We're gonna have us a good old time out there where people are dying every day. It's good Lord, I'm just so, I don't have words. It's just nuts. There's so much more I could say, but I'm gonna cut it off here. So thank you guys so much for watching. God, my heart was just everywhere in my body at every possible time in this episode, and I can't help but long to see Walter continue out on the run, and just the way that everything was played was so perfect, and everyone's so true to character. I love when Walter broke out and he was just like, bitch. You know, you can see that he's really got that love deep down in his heart, and yeah, I want to hear you guys' predictions, because it's kind of hard to say who's gonna come out of this. You know, you send a bunch of white dudes out into the desert with guns and attitudes, and it's like, you know, another life lesson that I learned from this episode is if like you're the person you like, your significant other, they're just like, I don't want to get off the phone with you. Like, don't trust them, because they're probably tracking you, and they're gonna send hell to your doorstep. That's another thing to keep in mind. I'm just saying. And if it ain't blue, it ain't the brand. It ain't legit. I could see some awesome commercials for that. At any rate, thank you guys so much. You are fabulous as ever. I'm so sorry I have not had time to respond to messages of like any kind in forever. I am working somehow magically 4 jobs, and I'm a full-time student. Don't ask how it works, because it doesn't. I love you guys, and I'll be back thrice more for Breaking the Bad. Take care, and I'll be back before you know it.